granted. However, what she has pointed out, she's right, because money was actually, tax was removed from road license, and it was supposed to be paid through fuel. You remember, Gabriel, there was even a case which was, the litigation was done by Mwema and the company advocates, and they sued government because of putting fuel tax on fuel when people had already paid for licenses. But having said that, now the question is, if we are going to return and reinstate the license, are you going to remove the 1,000 or so, which is now being paid as a tax? Because this is what we are supposed to do. We are paying as we are taking fuel, and it was argued that it is captive, because if you are taking the fuel, nobody can dodge it, because previously those who are highly connected, they could move on the road without paying taxes and they could go scot-free. But now with the fuel, once you are buying fuel, then you have to pay this tax. But if it is reinstated and you are saying you have to pay license, then that is the question is, are you removing this from the fuel which you have been consuming? It's a big question. Number two, again related to the broadening of the tax base. Incidentally, they had created a tripartite relationship where URA, Uganda Registration Service Bureau, and the local government would work together. Before you are licensed, that is, before your business gets any license, then you were supposed to first register your business. So Uganda Registration Service Bureau would be in hand. Then moving forward, before you get again a license to operate, you had to get a TIN number, and the URA would capture you there. Then you would get a license, and then you operate, and then annually you would make a return. This is how we thought it would be evolved, because it started in Kampala, and we thought the program would go even up country, where they would relate with local authorities all over the country, and finally more people would be brought into tax bracket. Having said that, we have also issues again about this tax. Jen has also alluded to this about the tax on
tax on what? Tax on data. Well, Mr. Kayondo, before you go to the tax on data, are you saying that for purposes of income tax, it's only happening in Kampala?
No. In fact, it started in Kampala and it was supposed to be evolved to other towns, and other local authorities would follow suit. But I wonder whether it stopped in Kampala, because in Kampala it was effected, and we thought it would be evolved even elsewhere. It would be initiated elsewhere, so that even throughout the country, these people who are talked of as the informal would be brought into the tax bracket. And what we had argued at our level as Kasita, that some of these are small businesses which cannot employ auditors, and therefore there would be a presumptive tax, which presumptive would just be paid on assumption of yourselves, and this presumptive would be based on how much your gross sales per annum. And if you grow big, then you can employ the services of the auditors, and you start also making returns to URA, and then you meet your tax obligations. But if it is stopped in Kampala, then time is now that it is initiated even outside Kampala. That is what I am advocating for. Right. So bringing more people into tax brackets is okay. And but there in Kampala again we have efforts to increase informality, because if you are allowing people to trade on the street, that is an informality which we are embracing, and nobody will trade from the streets, and we expect him to pay taxes. And by the way, he is operating and is doing a disservice to those who are already taxpayers. So you are not even protecting those who are taxpayers, who are supposed to meet all of the obligations, but then you are protecting these street vendors, and they will keep informal until maybe something is done about it. So this is where I'm talking about that I'm in total agreement that we need more people to come into tax brackets.
All right. When we come back from the break, let's talk about how government can bring those more people into the tax bracket. Let's go for a break at this point, but listener, you can send in your message, question or comment on our WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. We'll read those messages after these messages.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM90.
Sheraton Kampala Hotel is hosting a special iftar buffet for both individuals and groups of 10 and above on a reservation basis. Come be spoiled for choice from our extensive menu that goes for as low as 90,000 shillings per person this fasting period. Sheraton has arranged private prayer spaces for groups. For bookings and inquiries, call 0312 322 499 or email foodandbeverage@sheratonkampala.com. Sheraton Kampala wishes you a blessed Ramadan. Ramadan Kareem.
With the Housing Finance Bank unsecured salary overdraft, everything is quick and easy. Get quick cash of up to 10 million shillings payable within 3 months at competitive interest rates, all available to you in only 24 hours with the Housing Finance Bank unsecured salary overdraft. For help and further inquiries, call 0417 803 000. Housing Finance Bank, we make it easy. Housing Finance Bank is regulated by Bank of Uganda. Customer deposits are protected by the Deposit Protection Fund.
Shell V-Power with Dynaflex technology improves engine efficiency and is equipped with dirt-bursting molecules.
Or simply put, fueling with Shell V-Power enables you to enjoy unbeatable protection from performance-robbing deposits while enabling you to enjoy the ultimate drive and performance. So, power the adrenaline.
Fuel the feeling with Shell V-Power.
Spectrum on Radio 1 FM90.
Welcome back from the break. Thank you for staying with us here on Spectrum, Radio 1 FM90. I'm your host, Iguma Gabriel. Today, we are looking at the perspective, we're getting perspectives from two stakeholders on the tax measures for financial year 2021-2022. This is after the Minister of Finance tabled before Parliament tax proposals. Also today, the Minister of Finance tabled before Parliamentary Committee budget estimates, and we got the view of our panelists on that. Before we went for the break, Mr. Kayondo wanted to submit on the issue of data, the proposed taxes there. And I'm surprised you haven't said anything on rental tax. But yes, Mr. Kayondo, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Gabriel. I'm not done. I'm handling it one by one. But
okay, yes.
Coming to data seriously, because OTT was pure almost taxation on Rakizari. But when it comes to data, and they are saying it will be charged except for schools and those who are buying data for a hospital. But the question is, how will it be distinguished? How will you know that this data is for hospital and this one is for school? But most importantly, data for internet is actually required in some businesses, like in tourism. You can't do tourism without internet. You can't do some e-commerce, because we are encouraging our people to do e-commerce. They need internet. And by the way, are you aware, Gabriel, that even receipting system has changed?
Yes.
You need what we call IFRIs.
IFRIs.
Instead of making these local receipts, which we are supposed to issue to our customers, we are supposed to make electronic tickets, so the receipt. But the electronic receipts require that you have internet. So that means that this data which you are now taxing, actually I need it even to transact. Before I get started, I need the data. So you can't remove it from OTT, from the regulatory portion, and you put it on the essentials. So I feel this one is an unfair tax, and I think it should be put back to OTT as previously had been arranged. And then touching about the rental has been increased. One, it will be quite cumbersome if you have the auditors and you have a number of properties. You are going to account for each property, and you are going to make returns for each property. That means you will have to pay a little bit more to the auditors in order to account for each property. Number two, they are increasing the rental tax from 20% to 30%, which we feel is unfair because the landlords, almost all of them, have the capacity to push whatever is taxed from them, they push it down to the consumer. So at the end of the day, people have now, these days, have already been abandoning the shops, they are abandoning trading premises, and if you can come downtown, it is terrible, even those places where we thought were hot cakes, where people would crave to work from, they are now closing it down. So the issue is now trying to attract more people into their premises. But if the taxes have to be increased, then that will be unfortunate for them. Because for me, I think right now what we have to do is to look the other way around. Instead of looking into increasing more taxes, would look at the way of reducing the expenditure and tightening the loopholes which we have in the administration system, and then the corruption issue. I think these ones can actually handle whatever we want, and we shall end up getting enough revenue to run government. But
what are some of those? What are some of those loopholes in the tax administration, that you refer to?
In fact, I am looking at corruption as the major loophole because at any time, if you look at actually what we are losing in the tax administration, what we are losing in whatever has been collected and whether being put on actual utilization, if you look at the allocations which have been made as to whether they will really become actual investment, like what we are putting in transport and works, does it translate into real roads? Does it translate into corruption? These are the areas which we have to tighten and ensure that